You have the experience with major corporations like me. My particular experience with Beam Centauri, it was uh, it was great in the beginning. It's great for us to work for them. It is not so cool when you start to own things.
What's up, Goodbreads? Welcome to the Mr. Goodbread reaction, where we learn out how not to be a fool from some well-paid fools. We watch the stars and we study these entertainers so we understand how the regular sheep in our environment and in our community is gonna act because they follow them. All right, guys, so we got to the bottom of this P. Diddy whole saga, and it's nasty, guys. It's nasty. We all laughing, but it ain't nothing funny about this, bro. It's nothing funny about 21st century slavery, guys. Now, 50 Cent, he shed some light on what it might be, but if we go back to last year where Diddy did an interview on Earn Your Leisure, the podcast Earn Your Leisure, the same podcast that 50 Cent broke the little news, he exposed a little something on. So let's go back to the interview with Diddy at Earn Your Leisure, and I want y'all to pay attention to what he said.
I like that.
Let's get into it, man. We got a lot to talk about, but let's start at the beginning. So,
Yeah.
I want to know, starting Bad Boy Records, right? To me, definitely top 2, top 3 labels ever when it comes to hip hop music, right? Inspired you to have that vision in the early 90s. It's trendy to have a record label now, but especially the way you did it as far as hiring the top producers, making sure you had the top in-house talent. You kind of navigated it very strategically. What was your thought process when you was 19 years old doing that?
I would have to say, starting Bad Boy, I had to tap into the love, I fell in love with hip hop the first day I heard like this battle mixtape of the Treacherous 3 versus the Funky 4+1. Y'all may not know about any of this. But it was like the upcoming rap groups that didn't have any other exposure until the Sugar Hill Gang came. And when the Sugar Hill Gang record dropped and I heard it played on the station WBLS, I knew that hip hop had arrived. And so I started looking at it as a possible career. But it really came to me when I was at the Fresh Fest in the late 80s, when I saw Run DMC in Madison Square Garden tell everybody to hold up their Adidas, and 30,000 people from the sound of this black man's voice held up some Adidas. And so I was like, this is about to become a multi-billion dollar industry, and I want in. And so with Bad Boy was, the representation of how I saw music and saw music marketing and grooming artists. Coming up, having studied the greats like Berry Gordy, Russell Simmons, I was able to see the possibility. Andre Harrell, who gave me my chance, I was taught and I was mentored, I was able to see the possibilities. But with Bad Boy, I wanted to be disruptive. My whole thing is disruption. I'm trying to go shake up the system and make sure that we as artists and we as a people get treated equally. And so for me, with the record company, I had to look bigger than hip hop at the time because they wasn't letting hip hop be global. If y'all see that Savage video of me, that's me finally getting an ad on MTV. That's how intense and rough it was for black artists. And, I was always fueled by that purpose. Number one was to make people dance and make people feel good through my music. And then number two was ownership. I wanted to make sure that I owned my own business. I wanted to own my own label, and I wanted to be independent.
And that sounds good, but it's that part right there. It sounds good, and you like, well, what's wrong with that? The sad thing is, Bad Boy was always owned by somebody greater than Puff. Yeah, Puff made and created and he founded Bad Boys, but they was always under Sony, Atlantic. Those, he don't own those. And those the distributing companies, guys. Those the big boys.
So
Cheers to
Clap it up
that.
for that. So I wanna, all right, so now let's get into this Diageo situation, right? So I wanna talk about the relationship with Diageo. So this lawsuit that you brought against them, right? People might not know, but I think Pharrell was the actual first one to sue Diageo, and it was for unfair treatment. So you had a historic relationship with them, 15 years, going back to Ciroc, DeLeon. I never even heard of Ciroc until you started doing the commercials, blew it out the water. Then you had DeLeon, and everything looked like it was on the up and up, owned by a black man and all that. So a lot of people was confused when the lawsuit came about. You shared some information with us when we came to your house that we wasn't aware of. So can you really talk about that? Because I think it's a very interesting case study for entrepreneurs to understand.
Definitely. The situation's in the courts now, so I'm gonna share with y'all what I can. This is all public record. But basically, I was called to have a meeting with Diageo, and they knew that I was kind of killing things in the culture, and they were trying to fix their diversity problem. And through that, a meeting was set up, and I told them, you know, I want to be an owner, that I have these ideas from promoting parties at Howard, just remembering that I would always get the door and never get the bar. And so I said I have aspirations to have black-owned brands owned by black people behind the bar and a part of your organization. They're the biggest distributor of spirits in the world, biggest maker of spirits in the world. So we get a test project. I'm looking at their portfolio, and they say we could start something from scratch. But I'm looking at their portfolio, and I remember one night I was having a great time with Ciroc. I had some Ciroc. It was made by grapes, and I remember, you know, having just such the greatest time. And so the light bulb went off in my head. I said, I don't want to wait and develop nothing. Let me show you what I could do with Ciroc. Let me show you how I could turn your revenue around. They were losing $40 million a year. And I went and turned it around and took it to 2.6 million cases from 40,000 cases.
Okay, two things about that part right there, Diddy. You didn't have to say all that about that. I was having a good time because you made yourself sound like a huge perv. So now we know what you was doing. It was one of them Diddy nights, right? It was one of them freak off nights that you said, hey, Ciroc had all of the women freaking off. So that's when you decided to sponsor for Ciroc, right? And another thing, Diddy, just do your job, Diddy. You signed the deal to turn they thing around. You turned their thing around, and you got greedy. This is why 50 Cent said it's better to just work for him, because then when you start wanting to own stuff, you have problems. And this is Diddy downfall right here, guys. So it ain't about no trafficking and all that craziness. This is what it's about. These jewels sicked the Moys on him because they higher than him. So understand that.
Okay, and so this is something that's never been done.
Clap it up for that.
And so 15 years later, even though I had that success, I was always fighting for Ciroc not to be pigeonholed, not to be pigeonholed as a black brand, not to be pigeonholed as an urban brand. I already went through that. I went through that with Sean John. They put me in the urban section. I had to go and disrupt the fashion industry, pull up on Fashion Week, and show them what that black excellence swag is about. And that's what we did with Sean John. And so with Ciroc, it was the same thing, get into the spirits industry. No matter what industry I went into, I always came up against this ceiling that they just wanted to keep me in the colored section. I would say for businesses, you have white-only business, just like you have white-only bathrooms back in the days, and you have black-only business. And so my fight is to always make sure that we could just do business. I want to be treated equally like anybody else. And so that's what the fight is about. And it's not me just fighting for me. I'm fighting for us. Because whatever bar I set, y'all have to come behind me on that bar, and I want to make sure that it's right. So that's what the fight is about, simply put. And the last things to make it clear was with DeLeon. I still own Deleon, okay? So with Deleon, I sent my people.
Before you tell the story about that, just talk about the process of getting Deleon, right? Because it was you proved yourself with Ciroc, and so now there's an opportunity to create something else.
With a lot of, first of all, corporate America is made and built for white men. So when you're going into corporate America, usually your entryway is to help them with their diversity problem.
Salute the Puff. That's a big message right there. But how dare you, Puff? How dare you bite the hand that feeds you? You've been working with the devil for 30 years. Now you gonna get fancy on the devil? Wow. Salute the Puff. But y'all out here distracted, right? Y'all out here talking about, oh, he a monster. And y'all out here laughing and making jokes, right? You see how you stuck your neck out there for your people, right? Because he out here on this black-owned podcast getting fancy, biting the hand that feed him. You can't bite the hand that feeds you, man.
But at the end of the day, you want to be able to open up doors. Sometimes you got to take that opportunity and get in. And so that's what I did with Ciroc. But I told him I don't work for nobody. Everything in my portfolio I own. So you guys have to know my ultimate dream is a tequila. Since I was a kid, I remember drinking tequila or being afraid to drink tequila at first. Since not a kid, a teenager.
Correction, please.
I mean, I was over 21.
Yeah. He was 21 at Howard. I remember it.
Yeah, but tequila used to have a worm in it. That's how dangerous they used to like market it. But I was like, I really love tequila. And this was before the whole tequila craze. So it's like you make a deal. You make a deal like, I'm going to advance this for you so then we could be good partners and you could give me what I want, which is my opportunity for me to own my brand and to be able to build generational wealth for my kids and my people. And I just need the same 24 hours as y'all giving everybody else in your portfolio. And I couldn't get that. I had to send my people down to Mexico. And this is just to tell you what the fight is about. They went down to Mexico. And when they got down there, they found out that there was 0 agave planted for Deleon. So there was no plan for us to be successful. There was no equal treatment. The other brands, they had agave planted. They had no agave planted for me. And sometimes you have to go check even your partners to see what's really going on. And so when I saw that, I was like, nah, I'm gonna fight because it's bigger than me. It's about not just me, it's about we, it's about all of us.
It's about all of us. Puff Daddy, you full of shit. You couldn't even take care of the people on your own record label, and you sitting here talking about it's about we, it's about all of us. Stop it. Knock it off, bro. Knock it off. But that's why he shot himself in the foot. Now, guys, let's listen to what 50 Cent exposed just like, a couple of weeks ago when he was on this very same podcast, y'all. Let's peep that.
One of the things we talk about, especially in this crowd, is access to capital, especially for black entrepreneurs, black business founders. In your space, money that comes from advertising. I wonder, do we face challenges the same way that entrepreneurs are facing when it comes to getting dollars from corporate?
Well, initially, when I get into a new venture, I finance it. Like I usually use my money to start. And then as we get into new positions, I may take investment dollars. But like if you look at Branson Cognac and Le Chemin Noir Champagne, I own the entire company. Like those, that's completely black owned.
Well, I want to talk about that, right? Sire Spirits.
Yeah.
So, all right, Sire Spirits, completely black owned, like you said, liquor company. Talk about that, because I know you had challenges before that, right? So, talk about that whole situation.
Yeah, you have the experience with major corporations like me. My particular experience with Beam Suntory, it was great in the beginning. It's great for us to work for them. It is not so cool when you start to own things. You see what I'm saying? So I made a lot of money with them too. Like there's a point, they did a deal that mirrored what Puffy's deal with Diageo was for Ciroc. So he didn't have ownership of that at any point, but he was getting a lot of money, like almost like $60 million a year at one point. So,
to make that clear, guys, he sued a company that paid him $60 million a year to just say he was the owner of Ciroc. How fancy and fly does Puff Daddy think he was? How fancy and fly? He deserved to sit in there and think about this. He deserved to sit in there and think about this. That is greed, bro. That is greed.
When you see him go to De Leon is when you see him have some issues. And they not. It gets bad. You know, and these people have really strong relationships. Don't think that the civil case doesn't turn into a criminal case faster because he's making them uncomfortable. That's a big part of it. You know what I mean? Like, you look, when you go to the spirits businesses, it's not governed. They got a discus board that they created, right? If you got two companies that are $3 billion a year, and Beam Suntory and Diageo, the distribution level, it's very hard for you to get things to a point where you can do the numbers, the right numbers, the amount. So it's kind of like they incentivize the sales force by giving them box bonuses. And then when you sell a product, you get the bonuses off the boxes that's there. But you make that no matter what product you're selling. So if you sell Hennessy or Remy out the gate, they start to put downward pressure on the new companies. You see, I had a lawsuit with Remy. They said that because I had an oval-shaped bottle, that there was some sort of product confusion, and I'm like, where? It's a big B in the middle of the fucking bottle. Like, you don't own the shape, the whole shape of the bottle. You know? And then we had one in there for a little while until it came, I started saying shit like, 1738, I bet they had slaves. Then shit got uncomfortable and it was like, look, relax, okay? Can we make donations to existing foundations to make you feel happy? Yeah. Yeah, and it went away. But they do spend $63 million targeting African American male consumers a year. Remy specifically. You know, so that's why that would be uncomfortable, me making those statements. And it's risk versus reward. It doesn't make sense to fight the fight. So they said, let's just let that go. You know?
Exactly, yo. Make your money, then pull out the situation and put your money somewhere else and grow there and then grow more money. And you ain't got to take this egotistical and this prideful position. Guys, if you like more of this puffy content, then click the link right here. If not, I'll check y'all on the rebound and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Like, share, subscribe. We out of here, guys.